What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to Thunder Chaos. That's right, the reason behind this build is that it kind of utilizes the Thunder Dragons with the Chaos element, which is why it has such a direct focus on those particular cards as well. Now of course you can make this deck in loads of different ways. You can turn it into a 60 card mill deck, which starts utilizing Bestials, Horus cards, everything else in between, as well as the tier elements. You can also have it main deck in something like Dimension Shifter, but personally the way this format is currently going, it looks like a lot of the decks are actually deciding to either already main Shifter, so it then becomes a dead card, or they're planning to side it in. And I think that's something you should very easily be doing with this particular version, as it means you can take the Chaos cards out that maybe require a little bit more in the graveyard, and then put Shifter in. So that being said, it doesn't involve Shifter, it doesn't involve the Bestials, it is a 42 card deck, and it basically just utilizes the Chaos cards with the Thunder cards as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to take you through the profile, explain what we've got, talk you through why we've got it, and then talk about other alternatives that you can add to the deck as we go. So for the Thunder Dragon cards, we are playing triple Thunder Dragon itself. So obviously this is the only one that you can actually use off of Thunder Dragon Fusion to make your Colossus. Otherwise you're just going to be tributing Thunders, which is absolutely easy and it's definitely the best way of getting into Thunder Dragon Colossus. But keep that in mind, there will be that time where you're like, oh, I've got a Thunder Dragon Fusion. I wonder if I can make Colossus. Well, the only way you can do it is by spinning back the Thunder Dragons, which is absolutely fine because the fact of the matter is this is not a hard once per turn to discard. So usually what you'll see in more times than not with particular type of builds, unless you're playing the dangers, is that you'll actually discard one Thunder Dragon and just search out another copy of Thunder Dragon, especially if you're going to get Titan on the board, because going second, if you're able to go, cool, Thunder Dragon, trigger Titan, pop a card, discard the Thunder Dragon that I've just added to get the third copy, trigger Thunder Dragon Titan, pop a card, like, just great forms of interaction. Then of course we play triple Thunder Dragon Raw, followed up by double Thunder Dragon Dark. Now I'm not too sure on whether I want this to be at 2 or at 3. 2 kind of seems about enough for me. I like what it does, and the issue is, as the quick effect to discard it, that's more beneficial to disrupt your opponent with Titan. But you're not able to use both the effects. You're not able to use the banish and the discard effect. So discarding Dragon Dark will just put a Dark in the graveyard, which is fine. But if you then banish it anyway, you don't get any advantage off the back of it. So it's kind of like a give and take, and it's one of the ones that I don't really want to see in my hand. I kind of want to get it off the board, using it off of like link material off of the back of Thunder Dragon Raw. You can adapt it as you see fit. Then of course we've got the one Thunder Dragon Matrix and the one Thunder Dragon Hawk. Now in this particular version, the normal summon that is more important in my opinion is the Battery Man Solar. Now in the other versions, stuff like D-Shifter, being able to do the Foolish Burial off the back of the Solar is still pretty good, but I prefer my normal summon to be a Aloof Lupine. Whereas in this version, the fact of the matter is the Foolish Burial will set you up a Chaos card that you can obviously ideally banish, because you send a Thunder card from deck to grave, you banish that Thunder card, you trigger its effect, you summon down a Chaos monster. You're obviously going to be able to get a lot more easier access to the Thunder monsters, which means you can spawn the token of the Battery Man Solar, and then of course Battery Man Solar and the token of Thunders, so you can tag them out into a Colossus, and now that Colossus is at 2, it's just a lot easier to kind of get through to it and work it way that you need to. Aloof Lupine is still an amazing normal summon. The only difference between Solar and Aloof Lupine is Solar can be triggered on normal or specialed, whereas Aloof Lupine specifically needs to be normal summoned. I still think it's a great normal summon, because normal summon in this is absolutely insane, but you do need a Thunder Dragon Raw ideally in the hand to get the benefit out of the back of it. Because you'll go normal summon Aloof Lupine, banish Raw from the hand, then use Raw's effect, and then trigger off the second effect of Lupine, so then go, okay, cool, well, I'll reset my hand by banishing Hawk, or I'll banish a Dark, and then Dark will trigger off, and you just have so much more resource to kind of go where you need to. The last Thunder Dragon monster we're playing is the Dragon Duo. Now the reason I put it here is it's kind of like that bridge between the Thunder Dragons and the Chaos cards, as this one allows you to special summon it by banishing a Light and Dark from the graveyard. Obviously it can't be normal summoned as set, so it can also be searched out of by Chaos space, and the idea is it just gives you a very nice powerful monster that is a Thunder monster that banishes cards from the graveyard. Then for our other big boss monsters on the Chaos side, we've got the one Levianeer, we've got the one Chaos Creator, and then of course we've got the one Chaos Emperor Dragon. Now obviously Dragon has that ability to recycle cards, to summon itself, put itself back to the bottom of the deck, and gives you more resource to constantly keep having a card that can't be can't be summoned through normal summoning or setting, so you just have more resource to being able to get a Chaos card always in rotation. Levianeer is a great go second Disruptor. It's also a great go first Rip from the hand. And then of course you've got Chaos Creator, which acts as another form of extension. And you do need to be very careful that you don't open up too many Chaos cards, which is why we're utilising some other cards in order to put some of those banish elements back into the graveyard, or just put them back into the deck so you can recycle them around. While also still playing cards that give you the ability to either discard from the hand or discard from the deck, monsters that will get you to the graveyard to set you up your Chaos plays. The flip side of this is if you do get hit with a D-shifter, yes, you can still play with your Thunder Dragons, but the Chaos engine kind of falters a little bit, and there is only one card that we are utilising to help you kind of play on the shifter, and that is the Mental Tuner. Now, the reason this is so good is it lets you put back your Banished Lights and Darks to the graveyard, and that just gives you the ability to play on the shifter itself, should you want to main it or when you side it in. It really is up to you. For the lower level and lower cost Chaos cards, we are playing the 1 Black Dragon, White Dragon, and the 1 Chaos Valkyrie. Now, you don't have to play the Chaos Valkyrie, you can actually cut it out if you wanted to. I just quite like that idea of having a 3rd level 4 monster that can help you work your way into the Nemesis engine, which I'll talk about in a second, while also just being that 1 banish of a light or a dark. So it gives you the best sort of resource from it. And the one thing that I'm not playing is I'm not playing a Striker Dragon in the extra deck, which may be a bit detrimental. It really just comes up to how lucky you're feeling, because the way I see it is at the end of the day, if I open up one of the black or the white dragons, I should still be able to get an additional monster on the board so that I don't need to go into a Striker Dragon to trigger off the effect to search the other. It's not ideal, but there will be scenarios where I'm like, right, well, I'd rather have that space in the extra deck set up for a bit more of an aggressive option than just having to use up a Striker Dragon, which is literally going to be there just to turn a white dragon or a black dragon into it in order to trigger the effect off. Yes, it does come up, but I feel that I didn't want to take up that space, but you can do if you want to. The last little mini engine that we play is the Nemesis engine. So we're playing 1 Flag, 1 Corridor, and the 1 Eschatos. Now, the reason we're playing it like this is because Corridor actually acts as a honorary Thunder Dragon. And what I mean by that is as long as you've used a Thunder Dragon monster's effect in hand, or even itself by putting back one of your banished cards to the deck, you can turn this into Colossus. You've got Flag that can search out the Corridor, but you've also got Flag that can search out the Eschatos, And the idea behind this is that we are playing the Reaper Donkets, and what I like about that is the Reaper Donkets can adapt the type of the Eschatos, and this will then give you the ability to pretty much lock your opponent out of whatever they are playing, especially if they win the dice roll and they make you go first. You can probably go, right, well, they're going to be on Tempai, so you just go, okay, summon down the Eschatos, trigger the effect, call in dragons, that's it, they're locked out. So you get the benefit of everything, and the reason that we're only playing 1 Flag is we're playing the Banshee in the extra deck, so we can just search this out a lot easier, which does free up some space in the main deck rather than playing 3 of it. If anything, I'd probably consider playing more Corridor just because of how easy it accesses Colossus for the deck, but honestly, I feel that a very small engine of 1, 1, and 1 works perfectly fine. The last monster we are playing is the 1 Metal Tuner. Now, I've already mentioned this in previous builds. I think this is a great addition to the deck because not only does it allow you to banish cards from the graveyard to trigger up their effect and adapt its level, but it can also allow you to put some of your banished cards back into the graveyard. So the benefit of that is if you're able to go with a Metal Tuner and you've already played a Chaos card, that can set you up with a Synchro play or a Link play. And then the idea is the Metal Tuner can then put the cards that the Chaos card banished back into the graveyard. So you're then looping back your resource so you can constantly keep using the Chaos monster's effects and keep summoning out more Chaos monsters. In order to get you to your Metal Tuner rather than it using up your normal summon, we are playing triple emergency teleport. Yes, of course, we're playing 3 E-Tele for 1 Metal Tuner. So if you wanted to, you could probably go for a 3 and a 2. But again, it's just kind of keeping the ratios down. At the end of the day, the rest of the E-Teles will pretty much be dead after I've used the first one. But the idea is it's just giving you quicker access to it to be as aggressive as you possibly can do. And then you kind of want to bury the rest or just not even worry about them. We've then got 2 Thunder Dragon Fusion. Now, the reason I've got 2 of this is just for that grind game when it does come around. The ability of being able to recycle this is very, very important. But then the fact of the matter is if you hard open one of these, it means that your Thunder Dragon Dark can just search you out a Thunder Dragon Roar or a Thunder Dragon Hawk if you need to, and it means you don't have to rely on getting this. The reason you want to get this is because you set up a Titan which gives you disruption during your opponent's turn, or if you're going second, you can just set up a Titan very easily, and that Titan then becomes a very nice aggressor and disruptor. Then in the grind game, as it comes back to you, you can banish this card from the graveyard to search out a Thunder Dragon, and you're just good to rock and roll and go again. Now, of course, it's a lot easier now that we do play 2 Thunder Dragon Colossus in order to get into a Titan the alternative route, which is tributing a Thunder monster. I believe it's a Thunder Fusion monster. Let me get this correct because I haven't done it for a long, long time that way. So, special summon by banishing a Thunder monster from the hand and a Thunder Fusion monster you control. So, obviously, it means you have to have the Colossus set up. In previous times, before we had Colossus back at 2, you'd be like, okay, cool, well, I don't really want to sacrifice my 1 Colossus, I want to keep it on the board. But the idea is it just gives you that option to turn Colossus into an aggressor, which can really, really help. And the other benefit about not playing Shifter and playing the Chaos cards is you do put more of the Thunder cards into the graveyard, so you can start protecting your Titans and Colossuses from card effects. I am playing triple Allure Darkness. Now, this one's a little bit of a grey area just because the balance of lights and darks is a little bit off now, just because we like, we're still playing a decent amount of darks, and you still have the ideal scenario of playing a lure, seeing a Thunder Dragon Raw either in your hand or when you draw off of it, because banishing that is just insane and gives you the most value possible, and it is still a really good draw card, and probably the best draw card for the deck in my opinion. That being said, if you wanted to cut this out, you could do, because I don't think it would be so detrimental to it. You do have to be a little bit risky on it, but the idea behind this as well is you also have the benefit of activating a lure, which will then, even if you fail to resolve a lure, discard your cards from the hand, and that will then ideally put in lights and different attributes to the graveyard to set up Eschatos and everything else, that if you have searches on the board, you can follow it up. I'm just saying that if you were to lose your entire hand to a Lure of Darkness because it was a bit risky, it's not the end of the world if you played it correctly, but you're still going to be utilising this as your draw card to then banish a Raw, a Dark, or any other Thunder Dragon monster that's going to be able to trigger you effects. Then for the one of power play spells, we are playing the one Reasoning, the one Chaos Space, the one Gold Sark, and the one Foolish Burial. Obviously, the idea is Gold Sark, banish a Thunder Dragon from the deck, great success. Foolish Burial, send a card that you need into your graveyard, send a Thunder Dragon to the graveyard, sets up your Chaos cards and everything else. Reasoning acts as a second form of a Foolish Burial or as an extender. And then Chaos Space is just one of them ones to be able to search out any of your Chaos cards, while also putting a Chaos card from your banish zone back to the deck and drawing you a card as well. So it's all about getting that resource and looping back that resource you need. We're not playing hand traps in this build because we are going all out aggression. The idea is that we want to be able to trigger all of our Chaos cards, go all out, set up an Eschatos lock while also setting up a Colossus lock, which means it's going to be near impossible for your opponent to break. So the only card we are playing is a go second / go first card in the form of Forbidden Droplet. Now the benefit about this is if you're going second and you need to set up your graveyard, you can activate Forbidden Droplet, send lights and darks you don't need, which then set up your Chaos cards. So not only are you negating your opponent's monster effects, but you're then setting up your Chaos plays to then go, okay cool, I've negated the board, I'm then going to banish 3, summon down Legionnaire, pop 2 of those cards that might be in a bit of an issue, and then you still have more cards to play around with in order to extend your board further. Start making rank 8s if you wanted to go down that route, but I feel that route will probably be a little bit more reserved for the Horus engine, and I still think the Horus engine is absolutely incredibly good for the deck as well. I just feel that I wanted to keep it as a 40 card deck, and the additional 10 cards that you're going to be adding, or the additional 20 cards that you might want to consider adding, would be stuff like Grass Looks Greener, Left Arm Offering, Horus engine, Bestial engine, you name it. You can actually extend this deck very nicely depending on which route you want to go and just how like all out you want to be with it. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, of course, we are playing 2 of the Mac Daddy Thunder Dragon Colossus. Absolutely love this card. I think the artwork is just stunning, and this was like one of the first decks that I played that actually got me a regional top, which is why I really do enjoy it. I kind of play it as Dino Thunder, which gave me a bit of homage to like the Power Rangers as well, which is really kind of cool, but that was way back when. We're then also playing 2 Thunder Dragon Titan. Now, the reason you play 2 of this is if you do activate a Thunder Dragon fusion, you do need to have a second one, because then you can put the first one back. If you've only got one, it is fine to still do it that way, but just remember that you won't be able to make a second Titan, and again, it really comes down to the grind game. So if you wanted to open up the space for a Striker Dragon, this could be one of the cards you would swap out, but I feel there are other cards you can swap out as you go. Before we move on to the links, the XYZ we are playing is the one Banshee. Now, of course, you can play Bagooska if you wanted to. You're not really spamming a load of level 4s to the board, and that's where the dangers can come in to help you out, because the dangers are darks. They're different types for the Eschatos. They're also giving you the ability to discard cards from your hands, extend to the board and everything else in between, and it will also help you get into your Banshee a little bit more consistently, and Banshee ideally is just going to search you out your Nemesis flag. On top of that, you do have the secondary effect of this one, that if it is banished and you control a Pyro type monster, which you would need to control flag to do so, you can special summon this card, so it just gives you a free resource. Very specific when it does come up, but it can help you out, as that will give you the ability to leave flag on the board, banish the Banshee off of the back of the Eschatos that flag has searched, and then Banshee comes back to the board, so that once you've Eschatos locked your opponent out, you can then extend a little bit further and work your way into either more so the Link monsters than anything else. For the Synchros, I am playing 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Psychic End Punisher, which is the aggressor, so you can take this out if you wanted to. I just like the idea that we can utilize the Metal Tuner. The Chaos Angel doesn't care whether you're playing a tuner or not, because it can use a light or a dark as a tuner to do so, and you've got ways of adapting a tuner's level if you need to, and you can still make it successfully. The last Synchro that we're playing is the 1 Chaos Archfiend. I just think it's really kind of cool, and like I said, this is a Thunder Chaos version, so this card's actually really good in this deck. So it requires a light tuner, which is exactly what Metal Tuner is, and then on top of that as well, it just requires a non-tuner dark, which is very easy to do. The idea is that if a card has been banished this turn, it gains 2,000 attack, and it gets to attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. So being able to get into this just gives you a very nice board clear with a decent amount of damage, because it'll go a base of 4,500, and then you add anything else to the top of it. It can spam out Chaos Angel if you want to, but more times than not, you don't really need to rely on the second effect of it. Then for the Link monsters, of course, we're playing the one Reaperdonkus. Now, the reason we're playing this is this allows you to turn Eschatos into any type that you want it to be, and then that gives you the ability to go, okay, well, I know my opponent's on Fiends, turn Eschatos into a Fiend, Eschatos' effect, trigger it off, and lock your opponent out. So it kind of gives you that ability, quite like Protoss does for other decks, to kind of lock them out of particular types. It means you can also hit them with Pyros if you're facing Snake Eyes, Dragons, of course, naturally Eschatos is anyway, so it gives you a bit more of a balance. We've then got the standard SP Little Knight, followed up by the IP Masquerena. So we've got a generic Dart the Dart Charmer. You can pretty much play any of the Charmers that you want to. The idea behind Dark is that I feel there are a lot of Darks running around, especially if you're in a Yubel matchup. Being able to take a Yubel from the graveyard can just help you work your way up into something along the lines of an access code, which can help you pick your opponent's board apart. Now at the moment with access code, I'm also playing the Nightmare Phoenix, as this gives me an Earth and a Fire alongside Darks to help me utilize the effects off the back of the access code talker. We're not playing a Link free to help you get into there, but if you wanted to, you could very easily add in a Nightmare Unicorn. The last card we're playing is the one Saruja Skuldred, just being able to reset your hand a little bit, especially on a Thunder from the hand, then turn that into Colossus. It's just going to give you the aggression you need. Ultimately, the Link element of this entire deck is very, very flexible. You can start going down more synchros if you wanted to. And the idea is that with the Links, it just gives you that ability to get some of your missed match levels off the board and then work your way into different scenarios that can help you pick your opponent's board apart or set yourself up with a defensive outcome. So that's pretty much it for the entire profile and the extra deck. Like I said, you've got a lot of flexibility on the extra deck as well. You've got some flexibility on the main deck depending on the version you want to go down. I just quite like the idea of playing this as a Chaos version, and it's kind of still maintaining the element of Thunder Dragons being a deck. I didn't want Thunder Dragons to become an engine with inside another mill style deck, but it can be done that way if you wanted to. I just quite like the idea of Thunder Dragons still being a Thunder Dragon deck where they are the prominent outgoal and you're not just using like a couple of Thunder Dragons to trigger them off when you're banishing a milling and then turning it into a Colossus. Like, you still want to use Titan, you still want to use the other Thunder Dragon cards themselves, and that gives you the best possible outcome. Anyway, if you don't have any questions at all, by all means, please let me know in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.